All right, welcome to the Ardent Podcast, the podcast for the Ardent family, where we talk about things. We go deeper and talk about things that,
We're already talking about at youth group.
yeah. I forgot like our thing.
Our
We
tagline.
were also talking about like we need like a little jingle to get our podcast episode started, so we
While
can
you're
go like
walking from pushing
we can go like
record.
beep beep boop 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 boop. That was our jingle.
You're a lot better
Our
at
intro
that
one.
than I am. I can only do like.
Okay, so hey, today we are going to talk about dating and like sex. There's two questions that I feel like we get often from teens about this stuff. And the first one is like, how old do I have to be to date? Right? I think that's like a lot of people ask that question. It's a good question.
It is.
And then the second question that we'll get to after is, how far is too far? Thinking about like kind of like physical boundaries, right? That's like the number one question we've gotten for years. Like that's just, I mean, even like the last week, I was talking to two different guys about stuff like this. So, and it's a good question. It's also like kind of the wrong question, not in like a bad way, but just like we understand what they're talking about, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Well, so how old were we when we started dating?
I was 17.
And I was 19. I dated like in middle school and high school kind of. But like middle school it was more of a, hey, I'll go like to my friend like, hey, go tell that girl I like her and I want to date her. And then it was like
You
and,
never spoke
and then
again.
he'd come back and say, yeah, she wants to go out with you. Like, okay. And then we didn't talk. That was pretty much middle school dating for me. And then high school, I had very like short-term girlfriend stuff. It still wasn't very like serious. So me and you, we kind of only dated each other.
Yeah,
But you-
I've only dated you
Yeah.
fully.
And so, but what would the age be?
Well, I think it's different for every person, but the easy answer and like 100% the right answer is when your parents say you can. You're not old enough to date if your parents say you're not allowed to date.
What does the Bible say? Does it say anything about
Bab-
dating?
No. Well, it talks about like betrothal, but that's very different than like modern
Like
dating.
Mary and Joseph.
Yeah, like
They
were
weren't married,
engaged.
but they weren't dating.
Yes.
They were
Yeah.
engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
Which was
parents basically were
which
like, "Hey, you
engagement
guys
was
should get
different
married."
back then too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But that's like as close as it gets.
So it doesn't really say much about dating. But the Bible, to your point, the Bible does talk about honoring and obeying your mother and father.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What do you think about middle school dating?
I think
So like 12-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old, 13-year-old.
I don't see a huge benefit to middle school dating. I think middle school is a perfect time to hang out in groups of guys and girls together and kind of learn how to interact and have fun and have conversations with like the opposite sex. But I personally don't think that middle schoolers should date because you can't actually go on dates. You are very just young, and we believe the purpose for dating is to find the person that you're dating to get married. And in middle school, even statistically, there's a very, very, very slim chance that if you start dating someone in middle school, you'll actually marry them. So I just think it's
Yeah.
better to wait. And
When I was in middle school dating, and then like I think when I look around at middle schoolers dating, it does feel like it's like more of a pressure thing, or
Yeah.
like a
like
like
social.
everybody's doing it, like I need a girlfriend or I need a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really feel like, no, I'm like really dating to get married. Like no middle schooler says that.
Yeah.
If we said that, they'd be like, what? No, I would never. Like that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like way too young. So I mean, I guess like I feel like I always think of 16 years old as like when a good time would be dating, because then it's like you have your license maybe, and you could maybe go like,
So maybe
you know,
16 plus 6 months.
yeah, right, yeah, actually like pick
Yeah.
up someone for a date, go to dinner, like I don't know, something like that. Yeah, and we have a lot more on like that on dating, like just like our thoughts and stuff. which we'll probably do a series soon on like dating, marriage, and sexuality. At some point, maybe next year, I think we'll start doing that. But maybe we have more episodes about like dating and stuff like that. Should you ask a girl out over text? Should you like, those kind of things. So yeah, I would say 16. I don't think there's anything wrong with dating earlier or in high school. Some parts of me thinks it's like, why just like might as well hold off and just like kind of mature and kind of know who you are before dating. But then the other part of me thinks I'd rather you date under a parental's household. Like thinking about our boys, I would kind of want them to maybe date and like have we have 2 sons, so like maybe have their girlfriend over for dinner, and then we could almost correct them and say, hey buddy, like, when she, maybe next time you serve her dinner first or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like we could almost coach and teach them like how to like respect a girl. And yeah. So anyways, okay, now like the big one, which will be most of our time. So how far is too far? Talking about like, okay, where's the line when basically like it becomes sin, right? And again, we kind of talk about like that's like kind of the wrong question to ask, and why.
Well, I think if you're following Jesus and you're in a dating relationship, then we should be seeking to be as close to Jesus as we can, not back up against the back fence right before we cross into sin's yard. Like, we should want to be, as close to holiness as we can, not as far from holiness as we can before we get in big trouble. Yeah. But also the Bible is super clear of like, what is the line? Even though, there's not dating in the Bible, but it's extremely clear. God says it in the Old Testament, and Jesus even reiterates this in the New Testament too, is like a man and woman should be together once they are married. And like
and the Bible's
knowing
really
each other.
clear.
Oh, so clear.
It's
uses harsh language.
Yes, it's talking about sexual immorality, which is the word porneia, and that's where we get pornography from, the word. And
but that word doesn't just mean like messed up stuff. Like,
no.
And we say kind of, even though it's like an awkward phrase, it's anything that falls under the category of genital activity. So,
it's very, very clear. Like all genital activity would be considered that sexual immorality. There's another helpful, like the bathing suit kind of model, right? Isn't that what a lot of people say?
Yeah.
That could be helpful too
for a girl? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for a girl.
Yeah, it's kind of I think it is good.
Like no touching like around like any of where there would be a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But again, it's like not getting after. Like, the Bible talks about like flee from like sin and temptation. And so we should want to like completely honor and, respect the person that we are dating, that we care about, that maybe we even say we love.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, one thing that helps is looking at the person that you're with, not as, I think it's easy when you're dating to be like, that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend. But if you look at that person as, oh, that's like maybe mine, but potentially and like more likely someone else's future spouse.
Yeah, because again, you said, statistically you won't end up with that person. Yeah, like most people, especially, we're talking about middle school or high schoolers, probably more high schoolers like thinking about this stuff. But like you're statistically won't marry that person.
Which doesn't mean you shouldn't date until you're 31 and like ready to get married, but it is good to practice and understand your personality, other personality types, and like finding the person who you're going to choose to spend your life with. But yeah, I think it is really healthy and helpful to look at that human, that person, as not yours, but as possibly, potentially, probably someone else's spouse. And so what are the things that you would want that person that you're dating to be able to go into their marriage with and do or say for the first time with their spouse, and not have to explain to their spouse that they've already done it with you, and vice versa? Like what do you want to go into your future marriage, possible marriage, and be able to do for the first time with your spouse. So I think that's
Yeah.
helpful.
And I mean, you're going to date someone that you're attracted to, right? And so then being attracted to someone thinking like, wow, I really think that person is like really, really pretty, is not bad. That's actually completely normal. Um, but how then do you go about that? How do you date someone and even like, yeah, hold hands, hug, kiss. I mean, uh, cuddle, like, that's a very, very normal, like, dating stuff, but it's like, okay, but how do I do that? Because like a lot of that can lead to more, right? And where it's like, oh, like that is crossing my boundary. So one, I would say, talk. Like, I think whenever someone is dating, there should be communication of like, hey, how can we respect one another? Um, I think probably even having mentors. Me and you both, when we were dating, we did it for like 5 years, and that was something that was really, really big for us. Like communication, and constantly communicating. Like too, it's like,
Yes,
oh,
and
you
it
know
was okay
what?
for
Yeah,
boundaries to shift. Like
yeah,
you don't have to say one thing when you start dating and stick with it. Like if you become uncomfortable with something, you should and can and should say that
yeah.
again.
And then having mentors that know those boundaries and who maybe the mentors too who will be like, hey, how are you doing with that? The one that will check up on you.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, and we talked about this like the other day, is like I think it might not even be like where the line is, but when and where are you frequently
Together.
together, right? So are you always alone? Like, do you just like always have to be alone in like under the covers on the couch late at night? I think my one of the biggest pieces of advice my leader told me when I was a teenager was nothing good happens after midnight. And I think that is so true, not even just for teens. I think it's just true in general. Sometimes you have to be out past midnight, I guess, for like other, whatever. But I think that is very, very true. I'd almost like scoot that forward to like maybe 11 p.m. I just think
Yeah.
you get tired, you kind of get like more loosey goosey with
Oh
your
yeah.
brain, your
Yeah, well, yeah,
whatever.
like scientifically, your hormones
You're just
and the
off a little
chemicals
bit.
in your body are literally shutting your body down at like 9 p.m. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so it's like, are you hanging out really late at night? And then where are you? Are you like up in your room, all the time? Are you with people most of the time, or are you always like alone? I just think if you're gonna be alone and you're gonna be yeah, like late at night or cuddling on the couch like 24/7, I just think that's maybe a recipe for
Yeah.
um I didn't want to say disaster, but just like doing something you don't want to do,
Yeah.
I think I've talked to guys about this. I think like dating in groups is great. I think just like you don't just because you're dating doesn't mean you have to be like always one on one. I think
No.
it's really cool to like, and also guys and girls who are dating, don't lose your friends. Maybe this is more for a different like
Yeah.
episode too.
But no,
But
I do think it goes along with it is the person you're dating should be the same person around their friends that they are around you. And so hanging out in groups is a really good way to get to know not just how that person is late at night when they're with you alone, but how are they in the middle of the day or when they're hungry or cranky, but they're with their friends. That's really good.
yeah. And then another one is like kind of, and I say it and it's a funny way to say it, but like dating the family, like especially for teenagers, like you probably should be like getting to know their parents, right? Or their family. And like I think, guys especially, I think you will win kind of a lot of bonus points with like their mom and dad if you are approachable, accessible, someone that's like looking them in the eyes and saying like,
Yes.
"Hey, Mr. and Mrs., whatsoever," and like, hey, like, yes, I would love to come over for dinner and have like your family time, and not just like only be there when you can be alone or when it's you have to duck and cover. Like, if
Yeah.
you just don't, if you're not like approachable to the parents, if it's my kid, I'm like okay, that's a red flag for me. So
And
like
I
you'll learn
think
a lot of trust.
Yeah, and I think even back to the idea of honor your own mother and father, I think if you're dating, that kind of goes over to the other person's mom and dad too. Like, you just need to, whatever their rules are, like curfew or boundaries of where you can be in the house or whatever, like you need to stick to that. Even if your boyfriend or girlfriend is like, oh no, it's okay or whatever. Like, no, if you can honor your significant other's, mother and father's rules and boundaries, I think that too just speaks to your own maturity and will win you bonus points too.
Yeah. I mean, love, a lot of times when you start dating, you use the L word. You say, I love you. What is love, right? Like love, I think a lot of times when we say love, we actually mean like fatuation, like basically just this, well, yeah, to be infatuated with someone, like to be just like to desire them and just to really, really like them,
Yeah.
or to feel like this connection
Like
to them.
attracted, like magnetic type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, magnet, yeah. But I mean, and that is part of love too. But what like love is wanting like the greater good. What is like absolute best for this person. So when you're telling boyfriend, girlfriend, like that you love them, you are saying, "Hey, I'm going to put your like what is best for you over myself." Meaning, if I really want to do something, maybe like that crosses a boundary, then me saying, "But I love you, and I, know that you want to, you don't want to do that, then I'm going to put that first above my needs." And the same thing for you too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Don't if your boyfriend or girlfriend wants to do more than you want to, if you love them, you don't need to do that. Yeah. Like don't cross your own boundaries. Yeah.
yeah. And then I think the last it's the college rule. A lot of times colleges have the 4
Helpful.
feet on
Christian
the ground.
colleges, yeah.
Oh, Christian colleges. Yeah.
U of O does
you
it.
went to George Fox, but and they had that rule
Yes, 4 on the floor. So if we were hanging out in my dorm room,
like this.
yeah, all 4 of our
where-
total feet has to be on the floor.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of times, again, like you get cuddly, you have the blanket, and you kind of start laying horizontal. And I just think, yeah, I mean, that's getting close. Yeah. So that's another like
Practical
just
tip.
practical thing that you could practice too.
Yeah.
So, but
What happens if I do go too far?
that's a good question. I think within sexuality, Christians have been pretty judgmental in the past, which is not.
And now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Christians.
Yeah.
For some reason, we can be so judgmental on like the sexuality topic. Which is just interesting. And so therefore, I think Christians can feel like the most shame with this topic. And it's just kind of the reality, I guess. There's just a lot of shame with it. But I think anytime we just kind of learned, we were just at this conference that talked a lot about shame. Whenever there is this shame, what the enemy wants to do is say like, hey, you're the only one going through this. You did something bad. You're dirty, like all those mean things that the enemy will put into your brain, in your thoughts. And I think anytime there is something like that, you actually want to go to you should go to a trusted person that is safe and to confess those things. The Bible talks a lot about confession, and to go to someone, a brother or sister, and to confess your sins, and for them to pray over you, and to be healed, right? And not just like a physical healing, but just like a soul healing.
Yeah.
And so I would say, hopefully, maybe you have that mentor. Maybe it's an ardent leader. Maybe it's a friend who is godly, and one can hold you accountable, but 2 will offer like good guidance and grace and mercy for you too, and lead you back to Jesus.
Yeah.
I think, and again, I mean, and hopefully that person is also Jesus too, to, confess to him. And the Bible says like anytime when we go and confess, like we can be assured that we will be forgiven. Right. So like, yes, there is a standard. Like Jesus actually like very much says, not even just like if you commit adultery, but even if you have lust in your heart, like that's a pretty high standard, like that he's calling that a sin too. But at the same time, if we do, any of you find yourselves in this season, or that in this sin, um, you know, Jesus wants you to go to him and confess so that he can restore you, you
Yeah.
know?
One of my like favorite, that's a weird word to describe this situation, but one of my favorite small group memories of the past many years was probably like 6 or something years ago. And I had a student on the day of our small group, we were going to meet that night. I had a student call me and just crying, and she could barely say it out loud, but she confessed that a few weeks earlier her boyfriend and her had sex, and she was just feeling, yeah, so much shame, so much heaviness of keeping this secret, and feeling convicted too by the Holy Spirit that that was wrong and that she had sinned and she didn't want to do it again. So we talked over the phone and made plans to go to small group together that night. And so then when we got to small group, there was me, 2 other leaders, and probably 6 other female students along with this student. And she actually that night ended up confessing to our entire small group what had happened, and we all just like cried and prayed over her, and it kind of sparked like a group confession time. And it was one of, like, obviously it was sad, just for students to be feeling that shame, but it was very healing and powerful to watch what happens when a group of believers and a group of good friends are able to be vulnerable and like pray for healing over one another of that heaviness of shame. And yeah, it was one of my favorite memories. I'll never forget that night. It was really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you brought that up though. Like just yeah, what do you do when you find yourself in that? Because I don't think it gets talked about enough at the church. But you know, the church is for those people, everyone. And yeah, so I'm excited. Next year we'll definitely have to do like more of a series on this, talk more about this. But then I think maybe we do some more episodes on this, because I know this will be maybe a a view,
Yeah.
a high
Maybe we
view
could
one.
get some more like specific questions students want to
That's
know
true.
about. Yeah.
But okay,
Okay.
we'll end. See ya.
Bye.